Every glitch has an explanation. Both the small glitches and the big glitches. The ones that save hours and the ones that lose hours. After being part of the Donkey Kong 64 community for over 5 years, I can see how this sentiment would apply to Donkey Kong 64. However, there has always been one glitch that we have never been able to explain. After 6 years, it's finally time to shed light on how this works. It's time to explain the Dogadonequick kill. Before we get into how this glitch works, let's look at how this glitch started. Unlike most glitches where the story starts with theory crafting or glitch demonstration, we begin in 2013 when a user called OblivionWalker claimed to have found a way to get the 5th boss key early. This brought some excitement into the Donkey Kong 64 community, as obtaining Key 5 early without Chunky was considered one of the game's holy grails, due to being able to get into Creepy Castle far earlier than intended. If a player could get into Creepy Castle early, it would also grant them access to the King Cutout boss fight in that level, which would allow the player to unlock the remainder of the Kongs. During this time period, the claimed trick was named Dogadonequick, which is a clever amalgamation of the boss's name, Dogadon, and the first name of the game's primary character, Donkey. After a while of top runners trying to replicate the glitch, and some inconsistent instructions being provided by OblivionWalker, no one was ever able to replicate the trick. To this day, whether OblivionWalker discovered the trick or not remains a mystery. And so the community moved forward throughout 2013 and 2014 and into 2015, still fighting the Dogadon rematch in its entirety. In early 2015, a speedrun of the fungi boss fight was uploaded to YouTube by a Let's Player by the name of Greeny Yoshi. However, this was no ordinary speedrun, as it included a quick kill on Dogadon. To the amazement of many, after the cutscene played, the 5th boss key spawned. As the person who uploaded this was not known to the community, the video wasn't found by the community until March 2015, when Exchord found, replicated, and showed it to the community. There was one caveat with this trick though. At this point in time, it was only known to have worked on the final phase of the Dogadon fight, where the platform begins to sink. Regardless, Key 5 early had been discovered, 50 seconds had been saved, and all is well. Until the 2nd of June 2015, when Adam Whitmore found a setup that works on the first phase of the fight. To perform this setup, you had to wait until Dogadon had spit out 5 fireballs, after which you would bring the TNT barrel to the next corner and wait until Dogadon moved to that position, and after he spit out a further 5 fireballs. At which point you would get under Dogadon and jump. This setup was praised by many members of the community, as it saved around 2 minutes and 15 seconds over the normal fight. However, this wasn't the best part of the discovery. Shortly after this discovery, MCAT found that this trick not only worked in the fungi fights, but it also worked in the Aztec fight too. But contrary to intended gameplay, performing the skip on the Aztec fight didn't spawn Key 2, which is the normal key for the fight. Instead, it spawned Key 5, which can only normally be obtained in the fungi fight. A couple days after Adam and MCAT's discovery, Donkey Kong 64's resident trick naming expert, RingRush, petitioned for the trick to be named Dogadonequick. This isn't where the story ends though. 2.5 weeks after Adam's Phase 1 setup, Adam discovered a different setup that saved an extra time, as you did not need to wait for Dogadon to move to a different spot. To perform this setup, wait for Dogadon to spit out 4 fireballs. As Dogadon is spitting his 5th, you will bring the barrel and place it a short distance away from Dogadon's hand. After placing the barrel down, you'll position the Kong in between Dogadon and the barrel and wait for Dogadon to hit you. Once he hits you, the fight completion cutscene would be pulled up, and this is where the trick stands today. So, after hours and hours of trawling through the game's code, we come back to the key question: why does Dogadonequick work? Well, let's go back to the start of the magic, the frame before Dogadonequick. The first thing that happens is that the game draws up an actor list. Actors are a class of objects which fall under a certain category. That category being that they are spawned from a spawner object when the camera gets close enough to the spawner. In this scenario, there are 11 actors: Chunky, Dogadon, the TNT barrel, the pad which spawns the TNT barrel, the game's camera, and then 6 other objects which manage various aspects of the game, such as loading zones or objects of other classes. For the most part, this actor list will remain the same. However, it still needs to check whether there are any new actors, any actors which should be deleted, or any other change which will further reinforce the need for the game to check the actor list. For this actor list, the game runs through each one and checks if it's loaded. It will then run a specific set of code for that actor. To demonstrate this, let's take this example in Fungi Forest. If we shockwave this dirt patch, which is an actor, it will spawn a coin. However, if we warp far enough away, the actor no longer becomes loaded, and therefore all the processes it was performing have temporarily been frozen. When we load it back up again, it finally continues its processes and spawns the coin. In the scenario of Dogadonequick, all of the actors are loaded, and so therefore the code for each actor will run. For each loaded actor, the game will first check for any collisions which take place between the selected actor, known as the target actor, against any other actor, which is known as the source actor. For example, Chunky is running into this boulder. When processing each frame, the game will check for any collision where the boulder is a target actor. Since Chunky is running into the boulder, he is exerting a force onto the boulder and therefore is the source of a collision against the boulder. In the context of Dogadonequick, one of the main collisions responsible is the one between Dogadon, the collision target, and the barrel, which is the collision source. Each collision that exists where any actor is exerting a force onto our target actor is added to a queue and takes up its own individual space in memory, where each item in the queue will be resolved within a frame or two by the collision source. If you have ever seen the glitch of Chunky holding an unloaded rock to generate lag, this is the exact cause behind that glitch. Since the player is loaded, the player is generating lots of collisions between them and the rock. However, since the rock isn't loaded, the rock cannot resolve those collisions, which means memory becomes bloated with collisions in a queue which lags the game to a significant degree. With each collision that takes place, a header is formed. The value of the header is based on 3 key components. First, the game uses the numerical actor type of the collision target as an index for a search in memory, which sends it someplace else in memory. Dogadon is actor 236, so 236 will be used as the index for this search. When it gets to this location, it reads 2 properties, a key and the outcome location. If the key value is equal to the collision source actor type, then the game will instantly approve of the key. However, if the key value is not equal to the collision source actor type, there is still hope for the key to be approved. If the key is any whole number between -8 and -1, then the game will check the interaction index of the source to see whether it is equal to a certain value, which varies depending on the key value. If they are equal, then the game still approves of the key. If the game has approved of the key, then the game will select the outcome location. Otherwise, the game shuffles along, gets a new key and outcome location, and performs these checks again until it finds a key it approves of, after which it will select the outcome location for that key. The game then goes to that outcome location. shifts forward 9 bytes, and reads the value at that location. This value is then used as an index for what the game should do. If the value is either 5 or 15, it sets a boolean value in memory which we will call 7FB B85. How was that genius name determined? Well, we all owe that to the compiler. After the game has loaded in the collision queue for that actor, the game will then run the code specific to that actor. Dogadon's code can be split into 2 sections: fight completion detection and responding to fight specific situations. The second section doesn't matter for Dogadonequick, so we are only going to consider the first section, the check for fight completion. The first check is to see whether our Dogadon state indicator is equal to 4. The Dogadon state indicator is set upon various conditions. It is initially set to 0 when performing the collision checks to prevent data bleeding. After which, the game then checks the outcome location of the approved key referenced earlier on. The game shifts 4 bytes forward of this outcome location and sets the indicator value as whatever number is located in this memory position. If this value is 6, which is indicative of the barrel being thrown at Dogadon normally, then this gets corrected to 4. If this value is 7, then it gets corrected to 5. If the value is 0, then this gets overwritten to 1. For Dogadonequick, this value is read as 1 for both collisions. As such, this check fails, which is actually what we wanted, as we don't want the game to read this as a standard hit. The next check is to see whether the interaction indicator does not equal 5, which it doesn't, so this check automatically succeeds as 5 does not equal 1. After this check, the game reads the magical boolean value, which we have denoted as 7FB B85. In the Dogadonequick situation, the check does succeed as the value read from the search earlier on is 5. Upon this check succeeding, the game reads the last collision in the current frame where the Dogadon is the collision target. If there has been no collision taking place, then Dogadonequick automatically fails. However, if there is a collision source, then it grabs the collision source for later on. Last of all, the game checks the interaction of the last collision source. And if this is equal to 1, then the game goes ahead and calls up the fungi death sequence. Now, of all the actors in a Dogadonequick scenario, which actor is the one with the interaction state of 1? The player. The fungi death sequence consists of multiple functions. However, the primary function which controls everything important is the set cutscene function. During the development of the game, the fungi boss fight was made first, followed later on by the Aztec boss fight. Unlike Dogadonequick, the fight cutscenes and triggers are stored inside the map rather than inside the Dogadon object. So what could have caused this fungi data to be inside the Aztec map? Simple. The developers copied data from the fungi boss map and pasted it into the Aztec boss map when they were making the Aztec boss fight. This whole Dogadonequick explanation may bring up the question, if the player is the one which satisfies the interaction state, why is the barrel there? Well, this goes back to the collision header. The player's interaction with Dogadon does not provide the correct collision header. Instead, it is the TNT barrel which does. Dogadon needs to collide with both on the same frame, with the barrel providing the header required to pass one check, and the Kong being used to pass the interaction state check. After spending quite a fair bit of time working through the code on this, the fact that this was found in the first place is what some might call a miracle. This trick, whilst its discovery was in 2015, fully supports the narrative that any sequence break has hope. As always, there are other people to thank for their contributions to this explanation. Thanks to Isotarge and Mittens for helping decompiling the Dogadon code, and thank you to Exchord, RingRush and Tudos for their assistance with the history element. Happy New Year everyone, and I wish you all a positive 2021.